number 5, which expression is equivalent to? So we can do this a couple different ways. If you do not like working things by hand, you can just start typing these things in. And yes, you can even include your answer choices. It is a good idea for you to go type your answer choices. So if you would like to start typing your answer choices with Desmos so that you can find out what's correct, you are welcome to. I am actually going to use some test-taking strategies and do some of this by hand because I also think it's good for you guys to see those skills happening. At the end, there is a positive. So the way that you multiply and get a positive, if I multiply remember this is first, outside and inside combined, and last. So if I focus on my last, am I going to get a positive 5? A negative 1 times a positive 5 is going to be a negative 5. So I'm not going to type in A, or I think the answer is not A. A negative 5 times a negative 1, a negative times a negative could be a positive. So B is a possibility, just looking at this strategy. A negative 1 times a negative 5, negative times a negative is a positive. So again, C is also a possibility. Negative 5 times a positive 1, a negative times a positive is a negative. So answer choice D is out. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to FOIL both of these choices, and I'm going to see if I can get the answer above. 3x times 2x is going to be 6x squared. 3x times a negative 1 is a negative 3x. Negative 5 times 2 is a negative 10x. Negative 5 times a negative 1 is a positive 5x. So if I combine these in the middle, am I going to get a negative 13x? Yes. If you want to double check this other one, you can by hand. So if we do 3x times 2x, that would give us 6x squared. 3x times negative 5 would give you a negative 15x. And then negative 1, remember that's a negative. Negative 1 times 2x will be a negative 2x. And then it would end with a positive 5x. But this time when you combine your middle terms, a negative 15 minus 2 more, that's not going to give you a negative 13. That actually gives you a negative 17 x's. So answer choice C is incorrect, and it is B. For those of you that just wanted to type everything in from the beginning, you can also do that. And I'm going to type it in so that we can talk about that. I like to type in and then hide, possibly even look at the things as you're typing. So I'm going to do a wrong answer. So again, we can talk about what the wrong answer looks like and then a right answer. So let's type in answer choice A, 3x minus 1, and then 2x plus 5. Okay, those are definitely not correct. How do I know? Because they don't match. They're not in the same spot. So I can hide it, and then I can go type in the next one. And then if you're doing it this way, maybe you don't have to type them all in. You can kind of see what's going on as you're typing. I would not delete anything until you're sure that you have the right answer, so that if you happen to get through all 4 of them and you don't see something that matches up like this one does, you can go back and check for typos. So right here, answer choice B is in the same spot as our question, which means that we did it correct. Answer choice B is right, and I'm absolutely positive it's right because they matched. Again, whenever I typed in the second one, it went right, ooh, that's not right on top. It went right on top of the other one on Desmos. Answer choice C, which expression is a factor? So when we did factors, we did a couple different ways. You can do snowflake for this one, and you can remember your A value is 1, your B value is a negative 3, and your C value is a negative 18, and you can do A times C over B, and then you can remember your axes, and then sometimes we have to reduce if you can. So you can do that. We also learned the visual way that we can do it. So I'm actually going to approach this from the visual way so that we can see, and then I'll also go back and show you the factor after what the other factor is going to be, because when we do the snowflake, we get both answers, and we're only given in our answer choices one of them. So it's not going to match up exactly. So we're going to type in what we have, and we're going to see what these answers look like and see if we can pick the one that is correct. We'll see if you remember what to look for. So we're going back to Desmos. And let's type in x squared minus 3x minus 18. And then we're going to start typing in our answer choices. X minus 6, x minus 9, x plus 9, and x plus 6. All right. So I just hit the house button so that it would go back to like a normal size screen. Here's my parabola. All the lines cross the parabola, but that's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is all lines that cross the parabola where the parabola crosses the x-axis. So which one of those colors goes through one of those special points? And on mine, it's this blue one, and you can actually tap the blue one. And when you tap the blue one, over here I'm just tapping, and you can kind of see where I'm tapping because the dot kind of pokes up. And then it comes over here and actually puts a box around the blue one for you. So the correct answer is going to be x minus 6. All right, now what that means is if you do snowflake, one of your answers was x minus 6. Okay, the other answer, and you can come about this by doing FOIL, is what would you get if we did x times what? X times x will give me that x squared. And then I'm going to focus on my last numbers. Negative 6 times what gives you a negative 18? That'll be a positive 3. So if you do a positive 3, we have our x squared, our negative 18. So in the middle, that would be 3x's, and then negative 6x's. And when you put these together, that gives you negative 3x's. And if you wanted to see if we were right, we could actually go and type it back in here. And I'm going to go hide all these other ones that we know aren't right. And we said x plus 3. And that does go through this other one. So that's your other factor. So you could approach this several different ways. Again, you could do snowflake. You could type them in. And remember, what we're looking for is where it crosses the x-axis. It's got to be one of those lines because we need it to go through one of those spots. Or you could also kind of do what I did at the end here and figure out what would be next, and then check with FOIL and see if it actually works, and then that would be your answer. You would not be able to do that with B, C, or D to come up with the other parenthesis to get the right answer. All right, number 7. Which quadratic function has a vertex point of 3, negative 4 and passes through the point 0, 5? So what we're going to do again is most of you are going to approach this using Desmos, and that's absolutely fine. These are not in vertex form, so I can't just look at the equations and see a vertex. I do need to make sure that this is the vertex whenever we are typing it in. And I know that it points up like that because I don't see any negatives in the beginning, so I know it's going to open up. So let's go type in those points, and then also type in the answers, type in the equations. All right, so the first point that we have was 3, negative 4. And then I'm also going to type in, where is it? 0, 5. Okay, and I have my 2 dots. Now I'm going to go type in my answers. You can type in f of x if you would like. And if you're going to do that, because we have to go to the other screen, you can also use the copy function as you start typing. And I don't know if it'll let me do it here. You can copy it so you don't have to retype that part over and over. So we have 0.25x squared minus 6.25. And again, if you're relying on Desmos, make sure you're typing in the correct things. All right, so my point, my vertex, or my point does not have a parabola on it, so that one's not right. So I'm going to hide it and type in my next one. 1.25x squared minus 6x plus 7.25. All right, so neither one of them are going through there, so I'm going to hide that one. And this one says x squared minus 2x plus 5. That one goes through my point, but it does not go through my vertex. So hopefully it's this last one, x squared. Otherwise, we've got to go check for typos. Plus 5. Nope, plus 5. There we go. All right, so it goes through. I'm going to click label on here so we can see them now. It goes through both of those points. So there it is. Answer choice D. And again, if you have all of these things on at once, it gets very complicated. So hide them as you go, or hide them at the end so that you can look at one at a time. All right, the next one, let's circle D. Okay. Which expression is equivalent to square root of 200? So again, this is a typing question. You can do this one by hand if you would like. The square roots, this is when we find our buddies. So if you wanted to do this by hand, we could do this way. And then we can find out, remember we want to divide by primes. So I would start off by dividing by 2. And then I would keep dividing until I got my 1 on the top. If you like Desmos, this is a typing question. You're just going to go start typing all these in. Okay, and I'm going to do the Desmos way because I'm guessing there's going to be a trick. They're going to try to trick us with our decimals. So I want to make sure that we talk about that trick, and then I'll show you by hand for those of you that would like to see how to do it that way. All right, square root of 200. There's our decimal. 100 square roots of 2. There's our decimal. 4 square roots of 10. Okay, that one's different. And then so is our second one. So far we don't have decimals that match. 2 square roots of 50. And then we have that one matched, so that might be an answer. And 10 square roots of 2. Oh, that one matched. Okay, so as you can see, we're looking for 14.14. So we can eliminate answer choice A, answer choice B, and now it's between C and D. Okay, so let's go back here and let's do that. Let's eliminate A and B, and now it's between C and D. Both of these are the 14 point, and I think it said 14, blah, blah, blah. And so those match. And this is a case where it's always a good idea, even if you think you have the right answer, to go ahead and type in the other answer choices just to make sure, especially on test day or star day. So now we have to figure out what's going on. So we need to figure out the one that is the most simple. That's what our goal is, always to be the most simple. So when we're looking at most simple, we're looking at in here. And we want one that we cannot break down anymore, one that won't have any buddies. So I'm going to pause talking about the Desmos way and now kind of connect it back to doing it by hand. And then we'll go back to looking at, see if you guys can figure out the shortcut going the other way. So 2, that's a 50. And that's where some of these numbers are coming from like that. I can cut that in half because it's even and I get 25. It ends in a 5, so I can divide by 5. And there we go. When we do our buddies, we take our buddies and we write them only once on the outside. I've got another set of buddies. I write it once on the outside. Oh, no more buddies. So any leftovers go in the house. Go in the square root. 2 times 5 is 10, square roots of 2. So answer choice D would be correct. Now, how do you do that without doing what looks like this cake over here? Well, if we want it most simple, you would think like this. If I did a cake with just that 2, would I have any buddies? No. If I did a cake with the 50, it would kind of be like starting here. And if I did a cake with the 50, did we have buddies? Yes. So 50 is not going to be the most simple. So what we're doing is we're looking for the smallest number inside. Answer choice D is correct.